right, everybody, this is Jace coming to you live from San Diego Comic-Con once again, here with not only one of my favorite writers, one of my favorite people.
Oh, shucks.
Phillip Kennedy Johnson joining me. We're talking some Batman and Robin, and it was recently announced that you're coming back to Superman with Adventures of Superman.
I am.
The title as well. So let's start there. Obviously, we don't want to get too spoilery because the book hasn't come out yet, but what's the elevator pitch? What's the main conceit of your Adventures of Superman book?
Adventures of Superman, Book of L. And in a nutshell, it is Action Comics meets Samurai Jack. So we're going to see kind of a team up between Superman that we know and love with the House of L that we met in the Future State issues. It's kind of an exploration of whether the legacy of Superman can survive in a world where truth and justice are no longer virtues. So it's we're going to see a different kind of world where Superman is an unknown quantity. Nobody knows who he is or understands who he is, and we're going to see if Superman still has the same kind of impact in a world like that as he does in the world that we live in.
Superman means the world to you, and we've talked about that before on the podcast, and you had an amazing run with the Warworld saga.
Thank you, man.
But being that this is, to use your word, a different world that doesn't necessarily see Superman the way that the main universe does, it's different world building, but that is definitely one of your strengths as a writer. We've talked about that before. So a little bit of a different animal here, though, because it is DC and it is kind of characters we're familiar with, but in a different way. But as opposed to building something out, create our own, different challenge, different guidelines, different process.
It's actually very freeing because the world that we're fleshing out in this story is one that readers have not seen before. There's a lot of familiar elements, familiar characters that you will recognize, but seen in a reimagined in a different kind of way. So it's not exactly an Elseworld story, but there are elements of that are very freeing and also very exciting. Like, I don't have to... there's an element of continuity that I do have to worry about, but there's also a lot of history that I'm making up as I go, and I just get to see these characters as I would like to see them instead of how they've been seen,
Well, to go back to something that was done so many years ago, I mean, Future State was 4 years ago now, over 4 years ago. Were these a lot of the ideas that you had back then in a situation where it's like, man, this is kind of the Bible I had in my head that if I ever got to come back to this?
Actually, well, kind of, yeah. They're the same characters, but it is actually a different timeline. So, it'll become clear in the book why the same characters are here, even though the world around them is different. By the end, it'll make sense why these characters are here in such similar circumstances, but also not quite the same.
I mean, this is a character, and all these DC characters, they are characters that can exist in different versions, and there's no better example than the Superman film. It's not exactly a Superman that we've seen before, but fantastic. So I'm sure you saw it.
I did see it.
And it must have been rewarding and maybe surreal in a way to see that up there on the big screen, and it's doing well and worldwide, and yet you, Phillip Kennedy Johnson, get to write adventures of that guy.
I know.
Has it because I know how appreciative you are of your career.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
for sure.
Do you hit yourself at times?
I can't believe how lucky I am. The Christopher Reeve films shaped my life 100%. And of course the comics that were coming out at the same time. And to have a movie that came out with my, I got to bring my son to Cleveland, with Birthplace of Superman on opening weekend, alongside like Bendis and Sina Grace and Andrew Iden, these different people who have worked on Superman in various ways, do a live podcast, do workshops and master classes and lectures at the library where the character was created. Take my kid to the birthplace, like where Siegel grew up, and hanging out in the arcade where they shot that awesome scene with Lois. It makes my son feel like he's part of this too. At this amazing age where Superman is just so magical. I just could not be more appreciative of all these experiences and that I got to be. Cleveland to me is like a holy place. I love that town, and not just for the Superman stuff, but also because of the civic pride that I feel there. Like even like in every neighborhood I've been to, like you can just feel like people are so proud of that character and just of their city. I just really admire it. I don't know. I love the energy of that place, and to have my son there on opening weekends, and in a movie that I can bring my son to and not worry about him being scared or whatever.
Right, yeah.
The world established in that movie is such a bright, fun, hopeful one. And to see him get so jazzed about it, he said it was, at the time, he said it was the best movie he'd ever seen. His favorite movie ever.
That's awesome.
And that's how I felt about the first one. Because I just to give him a movie experience like that was just the best thing.
Well, one of the things that's always struck me about you is just how much you care. You always give your best, and so you, as help, along with Mark Waid and Bendis and other guys that have worked on Superman, kind of the current custodians of the character, just in great hands. But I'm glad that you brought up your son, because that is a perfect segue into talking about Batman and Robin, which we've been reviewing, every issue on our DC Spotlight, and oftentimes it's sometimes top 5, sometimes it's our book of the week, and it's all about the relationship between father and son, which I'm sure you're close with your son, and you're drawing on that. So what's that experience been? I mean, the book is Batman and Robin, and I know how important that relationship is to you. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as my son was old enough to love anything, he loved Batman. He used to have this little Adam West cape and cowl. He ran his ass off in that thing, like every day, everywhere. Wore it to the library, to like a restaurant, whatever we were, he had that thing on. Man, he was just so into it. And so there's all these pictures of me and him hanging out where I'm Robin and he's Batman, we're doing stuff. So to get to write that book is just such a dream come true. And it's also been a really fun contrast, because when I was writing Superman, to see, ever since the character of John was introduced, getting to write Superman as a father of a small kid just felt so good. It just made sense. It just felt right. So I got to write like the ideal father in that way, like the father that I aspire to be. Batman is such a different kind of dad, such a different experience, and their relationship is so different. Because given Damian's history before he came to Gotham, and Batman's history that everyone knows, neither one of them really knows how to be a good son exactly. Like, they don't understand like a healthy family situation. Batman doesn't know how to be a son or a father, but he's just kind of doing his best. And Damian doesn't know how to be a good son. He's always been like a soldier in training, or like a great leader in training. And even in his costume, with the gray, it doesn't reflect a total embrace of the Robin character. He is a Batman in training. He considers himself to be the heir of that mantle.
Right.
And seeing those guys interact, seeing them both try to be good partners, as well as having a healthy family relationship without Alfred in it even, let alone a mother. It's just a relationship that fascinates me. Like how these are characters that have to be able to stand toe-to-toe with Superman and Flash and Green Lantern, and they're bad, like the bad guys like Darkseid and whoever. Like, they have to be able to stand toe-to-toe with these characters and hang or win. Batman's superpower is that he wins. That's his superpower. And Robin is raised in that same tradition. What must a day in the life be like in such a way? Like, if every muscle twitch and calorie is in seconds in the day, those are all accounted for. I try to show that there's all these timestamps that break it down to like the decasecond, just to show the meticulous care that Batman shows, to just the attention to detail and the planning and the training and just being 10 steps ahead of everyone all the time. I try to express that in the book, how unusual their life is and how hard their life is. I don't know, it's just a fascinating contrast in father-son relationships as opposed to Superman and John.
Yeah, that's what I really love about it. We've had Batman and Robin, titles plenty of times in the past, and I always felt like it's their adventures as heroes that's kind of the A plot, if you will. But with this book, even when it launched with Josh doing it, was the A plot was their relationship. And that hasn't been focused on in sort of a way that I think readers, I'm a father, I'm a son, ways that can be related to, which I find to be so interesting. So that's what's great about it. But you haven't, skimped on the, adventure or mystery either, with this Memento character that you created. And going back to Bruce's days of training, it's been a very compelling story.
Oh, thanks.
And the art, you've been blessed with great artists.
Yeah.
So again, just the care that you've taken. So give us an idea of coming up with Memento as a character. And obviously we don't want to spoil because it hasn't been completely revealed yet. But coming up with Memento as a character and building out, I mean, this has been a long form story. This isn't just 6 issues, and done. Memento's been there, for a while now. So talk a little bit about creating him and crafting him and kind of the care, and touch on the pacing as well, choosing to do like a slow burner.
Yeah, so I wanted to introduce a character that kind of ties Batman as a young man, like a teenager, to Damian at his current age. So we get to see a mystery that kind of, crosses generations. Like with in fact, even an ally that worked with them both at various ages. Yeah. Because it would be such a fun way to show the differences and similarities between them. And as far as the vibe of like the character of Memento and the aesthetic of him and everything, that kind of went into the version of Gotham that I wanted to see. I want to see Gotham that's like dark and rainy and smoky and like the blimps overhead and the whole thing. I just want that kind of Gotham. And I like the idea of the Sherlock Holmes / Moriarty character that is both the teacher and potentially also maybe the bad guy. Like we don't know until the very last issue, which is about to come out. I don't know. I just wanted to see Batman and Robin at the same age, chasing the same villain. So somebody that could potentially be a mentor or a creator for both of them.
Yeah.
But the idea of Memento as somebody like a kind of an Aleister Crowley / Moriarty / Jack the Ripper kind of a character that would really we don't know if he's supernatural or not. He might be a guy in a mask. He might be a demon, like we're about to see for sure.
Yeah, again, very compelling, great series. I hope you guys are all picking up on it because it's fantastic. And the other thing that I love about it is introducing this gang of kids that we find out that Batman's been using to gather information. Is it Gotham City Irregulars?
The Gotham Irregulars,
Yeah.
So named after the Sherlock Holmes characters. Like he had in there's no Sherlock Holmes story called The Sign of 4, in which he relies on a gang of street urchins that he calls the Baker Street Irregulars.
So was that something you knew that you wanted early on? You knew you were building the story that you were going to introduce them?
Yeah, for sure. I want to see Robin interacting with kids that are his own age, and also it's another just a little tie-in with Sherlock Holmes mythology that always fascinated me as a kid. I like the idea that he knows Gotham so well, but he also relies on other people to know it. The only other people that might know it as well as him are like these homeless kids that just have the run of the city.
Right.
That can be anywhere, that know it better than anyone, like literal pickpockets who live on the street. Yeah. I like the idea that he's allies with them and he helps them and keeps them. He's checking on them, keeping them healthy, but he lets them live the lives that they've. Because I know a lot of street people myself, and very often they're safer there than the homes they came from.
Right.
So rather than just stick them in orphanages or foster homes, he lets them be where they are, but he's constantly looking out for them. But I also want to see Robin interacting with them, and we're just barely seeing the opening of that, but we're going to see that continue in more issues.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because it's something that we had touched on as well when we reviewed it. Because everybody's like, well, if he's got all this money, why doesn't he just give them home? No, this is the life that they're choosing for their own reasons. So
yeah, he is watching out for them. He is. Yeah. I'll try to be as clear as I can going forward in the stories. He is he's always looking out for them, but he also, knowing kids like that myself, if they pursued legal avenues, they would either end up in foster homes, and some foster homes are great, but the ones that these particular kids, I have backstories for these kids, and the ones that they came from were not great. So they are safer where they are with Batman's watchful eye than they would be otherwise.
Right. Being put in that churn system. It really spit kids out. I mean, I love the concept so much. Like, I would love to see them get a mini.
Right? Oh man, that would be amazing. It would be, damn, that's a great idea. That would be really fun. It'd be like Gotham Central, except from like the kids' perspective.
Exactly.
That would be dope.
And I don't know if you would structure it where they're solving one case, or if it's several cases that then tie into one. I don't know. That's your job as a writer to figure it out.
That would be so fun.
But I'd definitely show up for it.
Thanks. All right. Well, noted. I'll see if I can get that going.
Fantastic. Well, anything else you want to share with our audience and winding down here?
Oh man. Just thanks for the support you show the books, man, and the readers listening as well. I'm super excited for Adventures of Superman. This is going to be a really big year for me as a creator, but Superman is just, Superman's my religion. And to get to do another 12 issues of Superman that will cap off my second volume. Actually, I should say that so the title is Adventures of Superman Book of L. There is a literal Book of L that I'm writing that's like kind of the story of Superman, but also the things that happen once he is gone, the things that happen when he returns, his bloodline, this whole thing. This is all going into like this New Testament style book, and there's going to be narration from that in the interiors of the story, but there's also going to be 2 pages of prose at the end of every issue that just talk about Superman's line.
So it's almost the mythology of
exactly. It's like Superman mythology that will be at the end of every issue of the series.
Yeah, fantastic. Again, the care and the world building, man. It's what I love about your
Thanks,
work
brother. I
so
appreciate
much.
it. It's an honor to get to do it.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for taking the time. Always great to chat.
Dude, always.